Hi, I'm Matt from Circus Tarot. Welcome back to my channel. Yes, I know there's a big dick behind me on the bookshelf. I'm not taking it away. It's my fertility symbol from Bali. Get over it or move on. Now, I have got something that I want to ask you today. It's all about tarot and that sort of thing for a change. So, this has been kind of playing on my mind for a while, and I want to show you stuff. I've got four boxes of cards here. And I'm not going to open them and show you all the stuff because I've actually done proper reviews of all of this, okay? But what I want to ask you is this. We have got some incredible tarot cards out there. As you can see, my bookshelf is crammed with them, and you've seen absolutely every single one. If you go and look at my playlist on reviews, I have reviewed every single one of these decks. Now, I want to ask you, however, how do we, as tarot readers, or cartomancers, which is a really cool name, how do we tell the difference? How do we actually read from so many different sources, so many different types and styles of decks? And I'm going to show you four of my, I'm not going to say unique, but four decks that are so different, and they're also very, very different to a lot of the decks that are on the shelf. So let me show you the decks. I'm not going to open them up and anything, but I want to ask you, how would you read from these? And let's say there are 20 of you who all read from different decks, which I'm sure we all do. How can you get if somebody asks you the same question and you're doing using a deck that doesn't conform, are your answers going to be the same as somebody else's who are using a proper deck, okay? You'll see what I mean when I carry on. So the first deck I want to talk about is my mini Marseille. I know that the Marseille it's the oldest deck in the world, blah, blah, blah. It's all based on blah, blah, blah. I know there are so many people who use this deck. I have never, ever mastered the use of the Marseille Tarot. That is why I have got the teeny tiny version, okay? The little, all right? And I know I will never use this, which is why I've not bought myself a full-size deck. I just like the little, very, I want to say amateurish, but that's not the word I'm looking for, the very simple design of this deck. And yes, I understand there are many different Marseille decks out there, different designs, blah, blah, blah. But this is the one deck that I've never mastered. But if you're using this deck, okay, could you also use, oh, you can't see that in there. Could you also use the Dreams of Gaia Tarot? Or if you're using the Dreams of Gaia, could you use the Marseille? Because the Dreams of Gaia is not a tarot deck. It says tarot, but it's not really a tarot deck. It is a very, very different divination system, although it says tarot. Now, would you get the same answer or a similar answer from this deck as you would from the Marseille? Okay, let's say you're reading with both these decks, okay, would you get a similar answer? Would you be able to answer the question in the same way with these two decks? Because they are vastly different, all right? The same goes for the Thoth deck, all right? The Thoth deck is, again, it is a very different way of interpretation. It's a very different system of cartomancy. It's certainly a lot closer to the Marseille than it is to the Dreams of Gaia. I mean, these two are as different as chalk and cheese, you know? So if you're reading with these, would you get the same feeling or the same reading out of this as what you would out of that? Or does it really make a difference? Like, does it make a difference that you're using all these, like, different, and when I say different, I mean decks that are not standard, okay? Does it make a difference to your readings? Do you find that if you only use the Marseille, that your readings are very, very different to if you used a, I don't know, Tarot Made Easy deck, which is the tarot deck that most of us the type of tarot deck that most of us are used to. It's got the kings and the queens and the two of cups and the four of hearts and the knights and the different suits are swords and clubs. Would this make a huge difference? Or would reading the Thoth deck make a huge difference? I know for a fact that if you use the Dreams of Gaia tarot, it makes a huge difference, because this is pretty much like the Thoth. It's kind of like a whole divination system on its own. And I know because I use this, okay? Not so much now because I'm not doing as many readings, but I've definitely used it in the past. And it's it's beautiful, but it's a very different kettle of fish to what your everyday tarot deck is. Okay, I've got another one here, all right? It's called The Lost Tarot of Nostradamus. All right, there it is. It's by Thoth. Now, this, again, is so different. This one I do want to show you one of the cards from, because it might actually make you realize just how different this deck is. It's like that, okay? And although it's got a very similar kind of vibe to a normal deck, for instance, I'll show you the moon card. There it is. It's got the creepy crustacean, as I call it, okay, and it's got the number and it's got the moon. But if you have a quick look at that in a reading, you would have to be very on the ball to kind of get that, to kind of get the reading with that, because it's very different. And if you use this deck, this particular Nostradamus deck, is it going to make the same, is it going to create the same reading as if you would use this deck? Okay. It's just something that's kind of intrigued me. I don't know if anybody's ever thought of this. I don't know if you've like thought to yourself, well, okay, I can use, oh God, I don't know, the Gummy Bear deck. Okay, I love this one anyway. The Gummy Bear Tarot, is that going to be the same reading as the Marseille? All right, or is that going to be the same reading as the Nostradamus Tarot? All right, the Gummy Bear deck is also, it's just gummy bears, but it's very easy to follow. It's gummy bears in the form of the tarot design that we are very used to. So I don't know. I don't know if the type of deck, the style of deck that we use or that we are kind of accustomed to has any bearing on the actual outcome of the reading or the actual reading itself. Now, I know that in previous videos I have said that, oh, it doesn't matter what the cards look like, they're always the same to interpret. But I've been thinking about that in the last, I'd say, 6 months. It's kind of like been sort of churning around in my head. And I've kind of thought to myself, you know what, I don't think, I have to take that back. And I think this is also shows you how you can grow as a tarot reader or even as a thinker, and your relationship with tarot will change, or can change. I take that back. Personally, I don't believe that using this deck is the same as using, let's say, the Thoth deck, okay? They're very different systems. And I honestly don't believe you're going to get the same or even a similar reading. But again, guys, listen, that's just my personal opinion, all right? And it's also just the way I've experienced it. Maybe it's that thought in my head that has made me, that's kind of manifested in the difference of reading, because I know that with, okay, I'm not going to use the Marseille because I don't use it, but I know that with, say, the Tattoo Tarot, all right, beautiful box, gorgeous. I know that with the Tattoo Tarot and the Nostradamus Tarot, I'm going to get two very different readings. So I know that in my mind already, or I expect that, and so the readings are, how do they say, the prophecy is fulfilled, because this is a very easy deck to use. Strangely enough, it's really, really simple. The cards are simple. It is, it's just a really cool deck to use, you know. But I know for a fact that when I use this, I get a different reading to when I use this, because they're very different decks. This, even though it says tarot, I don't believe this is a tarot deck. I believe it's a completely different form of divination, okay? Using cards, so it's still cartomancy, but I believe, and I know for a fact, that the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, you have to study as a completely separate entity. It's different. Although it's based on tarot, it's not a tarot deck in the true sense of the word, or, as I say, the way that we associate tarot decks to be or to look. So, having said in previous videos that it doesn't matter what the tarot card looks like or what the artwork is like or whatever, I actually take that back, because as my experience and as a tarot reader, as I've grown and as I've used different decks, I definitely have seen a difference. So please let me know your thoughts down below. I also have something very exciting to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you that today. I will actually wait until next week to tell you some very, very exciting news. So wait around for that. I will put a date on this video so you know when I'm actually talking. But yeah, so if you're watching this video 4 years from the date I posted it, you will know what I'm talking about. Very exciting news coming. But yeah, getting back to my original question, do you believe that it depends on what deck you're using? Does that make a difference on the outcome of the reading? You know who I am. I'm Matt from Tubby Tarot, and I will see you on the flip side.